In the last 6 months, we've sent over 500,000 cold emails to a total of 291,000 contacts. And these are the baseline results we got: 3% replies, 21% positive replies, almost 2,000 high value leads generated in the last 6 months. And in this video, I'm going to show you everything I've learned so far from sending that many emails. So the number one thing I've learned is that deliverability is priority number one. If your email doesn't land in the inbox, nothing else matters. Your offer doesn't matter, your copy doesn't matter. It could be the best offer and the best copy and the best targeting. But if it doesn't land in the inbox, none of it mattered. All the work was pointless. So you need to treat inbox health and deliverability as non-negotiable and the first thing that you actually focus on. So how do you do this? You need backup infrastructure. So you need to keep backup and diversified infrastructure ready. So you need to have Google inboxes, Outlook inboxes, Azure inboxes, just different providers, different vendors, so that if one starts to burn or there's a big update, then you are still all good and you can still send volume. There's an active warning at the moment, so you need to keep backups actively warmed so you can swap immediately when live inboxes start to burn. And budget planning, this is going to be a higher infrastructure and tool cost going forward into like 2026. So you need to price your services accordingly, or if you're doing this in-house, you need to just budget accordingly that this is going to be more expensive, but you need to do it if you want to be effective with cold outreach. So the data access is also going to be pricier in 2026 because there's new patches coming out every day for like little workarounds that we had in 2024. But the good news is that every time one of these, every time things get more expensive in cold outreach, people give up. So there's fewer people sending emails, there's less noise in the inbox, and that means that the prospects that you do send to are more receptive because they're not receiving as many offers each day. So the practical takeaway is basically plan budget for extra domains and inboxes plus data, increases in data costs. And if you're charging for these services, you need to raise your fees to match the real cost of reliable data. So this is how you would set up that rotation I was talking about. So you basically use multiple domains and inboxes across Google, Outlook, Azure, to avoid one single provider risk. And then you basically create spare inboxes that are warming up. So if you want to send 1,000 emails a day, you should buy 2,000 emails a day worth of infrastructure and have half of it warming up in the background, so that as your live infrastructure starts to burn out, you can just replace it back in. And you'll know when to replace it back in because your reply rates will dip below 1%. If before you were getting like 2% and they're starting to dip to 1%, you haven't changed anything drastically, then you probably need to start switching some inboxes up. And also, if the bounce rate increases, so like starting to get way above 3%, then you probably want to swap in some inboxes as well. As always, just keep your content and your email lightweight. So plain text, no HTML, no links, no images, no open tracking, none of that. And that all reduces the chance of you landing in spam. So pricing has definitely changed, but I think you should lean into this. So like because of these patches and data providers changing things up, the cost of getting actual valid data is increasing. But this just means that loads of competitors are going to give up, and just send less and actually quit. So the less competition there is, fewer cold emails in people's inboxes, and the higher attention that your campaigns, if they're well run, will actually get. Um, your pricing strategy as well is basically you need to increase your prices, and we're doing this as well, um, so that you can accommodate and actually give like a good service. Because the thing is, people, less and less companies are actually going to be able to get results with cold email if they don't increase their prices, because they're not going to be able to get this quality data. They're not going to be able to build up backup infrastructure. So yeah, the prices do need to go up, but the results will probably also increase because there's less competition. So Outlook is definitely tougher, especially in the US. In the EU, it's okay at the moment, but for the US, it's very tough. And the main like factor in this is usually from what we've seen going to be how old your domain is. So aim for at least 6 weeks of aging for your domain before you send to Outlook, but ideally longer. And the copy length for Outlook, what we've seen is like very short one sentences often perform best of Outlook. And our hypothesis for this is like the shorter the email, the less pattern recognition the filter can do on the email. Um, so that's why we're assuming these are getting through. And then ramp strategy. So basically, you want to send low volume, no links, and soft CTAs so that you're getting a lot of positive responses. That's what we've seen work so far. The next thing is that is really important is having clean lists. So what we've seen is like we've tried a lot of different tools to verify the email addresses, and we've seen huge differences in how high the bounce rates can be. So I would definitely recommend trying a lot of different vendors. Right now we're using TryKit. It's working quite well. It keeps the bounce rate very low, but definitely try a lot of different vendors. So like Lead Magic, ICPs, all of those. And if you're sending to older lists that you haven't used in a while, definitely re-verify the older list as well, because we've seen like your bounce rate can just skyrocket. And this isn't optional. Like this is the foundation. This is all part of deliverability. You need to be doing this first. So obviously, a lot of this video has been about deliverability because that's the most important part, but the offer is actually the second most important part. So you need to be making your offer cold traffic friendly. So you're not going to lead with your whole program. Like you're not going to pitch your $8,000 a month retainer in a cold email with the first contact you make. You need to optimize for like a mini offer or an intro offer. And this could be as small as like a Loom video, showing them like a framework that they can use. That would be considered like a mini offer. Even quick audits, some free work, or even like a free campaign, as long as it's like very low time investment for you. Any of these little like mini offers work really well. And then also having like an intro offer after that as well, like an offer they actually pay for that's low time investment for you can be quite good. This is what we've been doing at the moment. It works really well. Um, people are really receptive to it. So definitely worth doing that, building the trust in a low risk way for them. And then after that, you can upsell them to your higher packages or your retainers. But that's what we've seen work so far. And the goal of this is basically fast, specific value that earns a reply and not a big commitment from them. So just want to reduce the friction as much as possible. Another thing we've been seeing is that like after you get a positive reply, it's best in 2025 and 2026 to not just rely on replying to the email quickly. So obviously speed to lead is the main thing, but also going omni-channel is really important. So you want to deliver the asset obviously to them, like whatever that mini offer you promised is, and deliver it to them very quickly. So if you can automate this, that's really important. That's what we do, so that they get the asset in under 5 minutes. um, this builds trust with like your face and voiced, so trust is higher. You want to stay casual, like just try and seem likable. And then you want to follow up after that. After you've sent the asset, you want to follow up for a long time, making sure they've actually seen the asset. Another trend we're seeing is that like this generic AI personalization is not working as well as it used to. If you're in a low sophistication market, then it might still work for you. But if you're in like SaaS software agencies, people can straight away tell that it's just like garbage AI personalization. So what we've seen is that better you're if you can't get really specific data points to create your AI personalization, then you're better off just not doing any AI personalization and just really dialing in your list. So making sure your list is really specific and that the offer you're putting in front of them is really relevant. This is what we've seen work better. Just keeping it straight to the point. So yeah, the best results come from a dialed, highly specific list for the right ICP, right triggers, right timing. And with this, basically the email can write itself because you know exactly who you're talking to and you know what they care about. But yeah, this part is what I was going to talk about earlier, was basically the multi-channel approach. We're seeing like a big lift in results by doing this. So one thing you can do, and what we do for some of our clients, is as soon as someone responds positively, it will auto enrich their mobile number and send that to the client. And then you can basically call them straight away without having to book the call in. And then you can book the call in on this warm call. We've seen this like increase the results by 10x sometimes. It's also worth doing like omni-channel, so reaching out on LinkedIn as well. Just referencing the email that you sent just to make sure that it got through to them. We've seen that work quite well. But yeah, the final thing I want to leave you with is basically, this is the principle we've been doubling down on recently, which is from Alex Hormozy, which is basically just scaling what works and keeping focus. So it's hard enough finding something that works and gets an ROI. So the last thing you want to do when you find something that works is try something else, because the chances of that something else working is also low when you already have something that does work. So what we've been trying to do is just stay focused, which is when you do get cold email working, you need to just do more of it, do way more volume, double the volume, triple the volume. Once you've kind of scaled that to its highest point and you're kind of getting diminishing returns, you then want to do it better. So you want to clean clean your data, make your list more specific, sharpen your copy, so more campaigns, more targeted copy, more data points about your list, um, with that high volume though. And then once that hits a plateau, you've basically got the channel to its highest point. That's when you can start adding in other channels like paid ads or content or whatever. But definitely for like smaller companies who want to grow quickly, like if you have a broad TAM, and a horizontal offer that you can offer to a lot of people, literally cold email alone, you could scale that to 100K a month in new revenue. So there really is no need to diversify prematurely. If you've got something that works and you've got a tight budget, you should just need to double down on that. Like an example of this was, there's this B2B SaaS company, I think they are called like Flixer, or I can't remember the exact name of them, but they are basically like an AI assistant for executives. And yeah, they literally scaled from 0 to 10 million ARR from just sending 8 million cold emails a month, which is insane, but it's so doable. So yeah, just double down on what's working and focus over dabbling, like keep compounding what already works before chasing these new platforms, which are going to take ages to get to work as well. But yeah, I hope this was useful. I hope I've kind of shown you the mistakes to avoid, and what we've learned so far. But if you're interested in us helping you grow your B2B company, you can book a call with the link below. We can have a quick, relaxed chat, see if it'd be a good fit. Other than that, subscribe to the channel, check out the other videos, and thank you for watching.